Hello everyone, welcome to UpBrightSkills. This is Kapil Sharma, your host and your mentor for this course. In this video, we are going to learn about one important module of AWS, that is IAM, which is named as Identity and Access Management, which is one of the important module. We need to understand it better so that we can manage the permissions in a very appropriate fashion. So IAM is basically a module wherein we can create our users and we can set the permissions for those users to access AWS resources, and even we can create roles so that we can use those roles with AWS resources to access other AWS resources. So we will see all these things in a quick demo in this video. So let's begin with the demo. So here I'm logged in with my root account and I'm here there on the dashboard. Root account is basically the account which we create for the first time when we use our email ID for the account creation, and where we set up our billing details, the credit card or debit card information. So that is basically called as a root account. It is not a good practice to use root account for your day-to-day operations because root account is having unrestricted access for all the AWS services. So the best practice says if you want to use AWS services, then create IAM user, assign the permission to the users for whichever permissions you want to set, and then start using AWS with that particular user. So what we will do is we will first try to secure our root user. So how we can do that? So first we will go to IAM. So here I am in the IAM dashboard. Here you can see the security status, which is showing one green tick mark and other are orange exclamation marks. This means this is not sufficing the security status. The first thing is delete your root access keys. Access keys are basically used to access AWS resources using AWS CLI, APIs and SDKs. So it is not a good practice to use root access keys. So always create your own custom user and use that particular access keys with the specific permissions. Another is activate MFA. So what is MFA? MFA is multi-factor authentication. So you can enable multi-factor authentication. You can use hardware tokens or you can use software tokens. So there are tokens which are available in the market. You can buy Gemalto tokens which are being supported by AWS, and you can configure that Gemalto tokens in this. And as a software token, you can use Google Authenticator. So these are the two authenticators, software and hardware. You can use it with this AWS and you can enable multi-factor authentication for your account. Another is create IAM user. So we will see how we can create IAM user. Another is use group assign permissions. So we can create a group, we can assign the permission to the group, and we can add user to that particular group so that all the permissions which are being assigned to that particular group will be inherited to the users. Another is apply an IAM policy. So you can apply your own password policy. You can see this. There are some parameters which are being there. If you want to enable that parameter, just tick and click on apply password policy. So that password policy will be applied. So we will see how we can add user. So we will click on add user. We will give a name demo-user. Then there are two different options to access AWS resources. First one is programmatic access, that is using AWS API, AWS CLI or maybe SDK. Or if you have any other development tool, you can use that for programmatic access. Another is AWS Management Console, which is a GUI based access. So we will enable both of this option. Then we will create a custom password for that login. We will remove this option, click on next permission. Then there are three different options. First one is add user to a group. So if you have already group created, and you can just simply add user to a group so that all the permission assigned to that group will be inherited to the user. Another is copy permission from existing user. So if you have user created and if you want to apply the same permission which the current user is having, then you can just simply copy the permission from existing user and apply it to the new user. Attach existing policies. So here you can see there are list of policies which are available. So we can directly attach that policies. These are the policies which are being available for you, and these are the policies which are being created and managed by AWS. So here orange boxes says these are AWS. So if you want to filter, you can filter this. So here you can see AWS managed, job functions, and customer managed. And customer managed means the policies which are being generated by us and created by us. So if you want to create your own policy, you can anytime go and create your own policy. So we will see this create policy in further video in this video itself. So for this user, we will assign the permission read only access. So here it is. We will apply this read only access policy. This means the only read only access to AWS management console or AWS services will be available. User will not be able to perform any action. So we will apply this policy. We will go and click on next review and create user. So now here there is one link which is being shown here. We will just copy this link and we will try to log in with this user. So here I am. I will log in with my new user, demo-user. So I am logged in with my demo user and I am there on the dashboard. So I will try to perform some action. I will try to launch one EC2 instance. We can see that will we be able to do that or not. So we will go to EC2. We will click on instances, launch instance. We will click on AMI. We will go ahead with the free tier eligible instance and we will click on launch, and here you can see launch failed, means you are not authorized to perform this operation. Why? Because we have not assigned the permissions to this user to do anything with our AWS account. So there is only read only permission which has been applied for this particular user. So make sure the permission which you set should be appropriate for that particular user so that he can perform the actions. We will cancel this. We will again go to our IAM dashboard. So here you can see we have logged in and checked with the user and the permissions, and here you can see that access key ID which is generated and the secret access key. If you want to send an email to that user, you can send the email to this user and he will receive this access key and the secret access key so that he can use this keys for development or maybe accessing purpose. You can download this CSV format as well. We will close this. So here our user has been created. So now we will see how we can modify the permissions for this particular user. So we will click on this demo user. So here you can see the permissions which is being assigned to this user. First one is there is only one policy which is attached directly, and that is AWS managed policy, that is read only access. Now we will try to add one inline policy. So there are different ways you can add the policies. So first one is add inline policy. So inline policy means this policy will be only used for this particular users and will not be visible in the policy section. And if you want to add a policy which can be further used for any of the users, then you can create your custom policy in the policy section. So we will add one inline policy and we will see how it works. So we will create one policy for this particular user, demo-user. So here we are. There are two different options to create a policy. First one is visual editor and another is in the JSON format. So if you are comfortable in writing your own JSON script, you can write your own JSON script, and if you are not comfortable in JSON script, then you can use visual editor to create your policy. Policies are basically a set of permissions for this users. So we will choose services. So which services you want this permission to be applied. So we will choose S3. So what action you want this user to be performing. So here you can see one all S3 actions. So if you click on this, all the actions can be performed by this particular users. And if you want only specific permissions, then you can choose from the list the access levels. First one is list, read, write, and permission management. So if you want your user only to list buckets, then you can choose list options and you can apply list policy. Another is read permissions. So there are plenty of different options. You can choose these options and you can define the granular level of permissions to this users for S3 buckets. So we will only give the permission of list. So user will not be able to read or write or maybe manage the permission of this bucket. And there is another section you can choose from resources. So here you can choose which bucket you want this policy to be applied on. So there are resources name which are available. So you can choose the resources name, or you can apply this policy on all the resources. I mean all the resources of S3, all the buckets of S3. So this policy we will apply on all the resources, and we will go ahead and review the policy. So we will give the name S3 list access. So here you can see S3 full list all the resources, there is no request condition, and we will go ahead and create a policy. So the policy has been created and applied on this user. So here you can see there are two policies now for this particular user. First one is read only access and another is S3 list access. Only listing can be done. So here we are, we will verify the permissions which we had given. So here you can see there is one bucket, okay, and we will try to create one more bucket. Upright demo, and we will create a bucket. Click on next. We will not do any kind of action right now. We will go ahead and simply create a bucket. So here you can see there is an error which is showing access denied. So here you can see the error, it is showing access denied. Why? Because we are not allowed to perform this action. There is only list bucket wherein we can list the buckets and see the buckets and see the contents of this particular bucket. We will not be able to perform any read actions, or we will not be able to perform any write actions. So now we will see how we can create a group. So for creating a group, just click on the group and create a group icon. Demo group. Next step. Now I will give the permission S3 full access. So here it is. There is AWS managed access. I will assign the permission and I will create a group. So for this particular group, I had defined the permission which is S3 full access. So now what we will do is we will add user to this group. So this user, demo user, and we are adding this user to a demo group. So we are done with this adding the user to this demo group. Now we will check the permissions which we have inherited on this particular group, whether this is applied or not. So we will again log in to the S3 console. We will just refresh this. Now we will try to create bucket demo and we will click on create. So here you can see we are able to perform this action, that is the write action. I mean we are able to create a bucket in S3. Why? Because we had given the permission to a group and that group is having a user, that is demo-user. So permission which is being applied on this particular group is inherited to the user. Now we will try to create a custom policy, and we will try to apply that as well. So the custom policies, if you want to create a policy, just click on policy and we will create a policy. So for creating a policy, we have already seen that the process is same, wherein the process which we have done for creating an inline policy. So that is, process is absolutely same. There is no difference. Same way we will get two different options, visual editor or maybe JSON format. We will choose one services, that is EC2. The action will be start instance and stop instance. So we will give these two permissions, start instance and stop instance. So this user will only be able to perform these two actions, and on all the resources on all the EC2 instances. So we will review the policy. We will give the name EC2 start stop. If you want to give some description, you can give the description. Here you can see EC2 limited write all the resources and request condition is none. We will go ahead and create a policy. When you create this policy, you will find this custom policy in the policy section. Just click on this filter tab and click on customer managed. So here you can see the customer managed policy, the policy which we have created, that is EC2 start and stop. You can click on this, you can see this. So you can see this in the JSON format. Here it is the date, statement, that is SID, how we have created, that is visual editor, effect is allow, action is EC2 start instance and EC2 stop instance, and on all the resources. If you want to edit this policy, you can just click on this and you can edit the policy again. So now we will apply this particular policy to our group. Directly on that particular group, we will click on this demo, click on permissions and attach policy. So we will choose from customer managed policy. We will choose EC2 start stop and we will attach this policy to this group. Right now there are no EC2 instances running in this particular AWS account, so we will not be able to perform start or stop instances. This is just for your reference so that you can learn how we can create the policies. What is roles? Roles is IAM roles are a secure way to grant permission to entities that you trust. So in the layman language, if we go and see, the roles are like, for example, I am a system administrator of a company and I am responsible for managing IT infrastructure of a company, right? So that is my role. I am responsible for managing IT infrastructure of a company. So that is my role, right? So in the same way, we can assign IAM roles and we can create IAM roles in AWS so that we can perform any kind of action. I mean, if you want an AWS resources to perform any action on other AWS resources on your behalf, right? So there is no manual intervention required. For example, there is a website hosted on an EC2 instance and that website is publicly accessible on the web, and web users can like post a content to the website and that content will get stored in S3 bucket, right? So there is you can see that EC2 instance can store content posted on website on S3 bucket, right? So how this can work? So you need to assign a permission to an EC2 instance so that EC2 instance can call S3 bucket, right? So there are two different ways how we can do it. The first way is like we can use our secret access key and the access ID. We can integrate our secret access key and the access ID into our code, and through that access keys we will be able to call S3 buckets, right? But that is not a secure way, because why? So suppose, let's say if your server got compromised and your code is visible to everyone, right? So when your code is visible, your secret access key and the access ID which we have written in the code will be easily visible and readable, right? So anyone can play mischief with your AWS account, right? So it is not the right and a good practice to have your keys written in the code, right? So what is the next and the best and the secure way? The best and secure ways we can create a roles, we can assign the permissions, and we can assign that role to a particular AWS services to call other AWS services. So in this example, we will create a role for an EC2 instance so that EC2 instance can call S3 bucket on your behalf and perform the actions. Okay, so we will see in this demo how we can create a role, right? So here it is. We are there on the IAM dashboard. We will click on roles and we will see how we can create a role. So we will click on create role. So there are different options which are available. So first one is AWS services. So if you want to create a role for particular AWS services, you can do it from here. If you want to create a role for any other AWS account, then you can perform it from here. Web identity. So if you have any web identity, you can create a role for web identity. And if you have integrated your corporate directory, let's say LDAP or maybe Active Directory, then you can create a role and assign the role for that particular directory users. Okay, so for this demo we will see how we can create a role for AWS services, right? So as my example said, we will create a role for an EC2 instance. We will click on next permission. So here you can see there are different permissions which are available, which are I have already said in my previous in this video itself. So the orange boxes says these are AWS managed policies. Okay, so you can click on any AWS managed policy and you can assign that policy to a particular role, right? And if you want to create a custom policy, you can click a custom policy. We have already seen that how to create a custom policy, and from filter tab you can find custom policies as well. So here there are. If you want to assign the custom policy, just click on that and attach the policy. So for this we will go with AWS manage and we will see S3 full access. So here it is. We will click on this. We will click on next review. So what is this? This means we are assigning the permission to an EC2 instance to call AWS services on your behalf, right? So there will be no manual intervention required. I mean, we don't have to enter our secret access key. So it will directly call S3 services from an EC2 instance. So here we need to define the role name, and here you can see allow EC2 instance to call AWS services on your behalf. You can write your own description. Trusted entities. Trusted entities means these services, the role which we have created, this is only trusted by AWS EC2, right? So this will be only trusted by EC2 instances. So you will be able to attach this particular role which we are creating right now will be trusted by EC2. So let's say if you want to attach this role to an RDS, that will not be possible. So for that we need to create a separate role for attaching to an RDS instances. So remember this, the trusted entities are very much important. The role which you are creating for our trusted entities, that will be only you will be only be able to attach that particular roles to a trusted entities only. Okay, just give the name and create a role. So there is already one role created, so I will not go ahead and create one more role. Here it is. You can see the S3 full access. This role I have created for my previous demo lecture. So here you can see the ARN, Amazon resource name. If you want to copy this, you can copy this and you can use it for other purpose. The role description, AWS EC2 instance to call AWS services on your behalf. If you want to edit, you can edit this and you can define your custom description. The date and time when we have created this, and the policy, the permission which we have given, that is Amazon S3 full access. Here you can see in the JSON format, and if you want to see in the summary, you can see the summary as well, right? Trust relationship, as I have already told you, you can only assign this particular role to an EC2 instance. This will be only the trusted entities from where you can call this particular role, right? So if you want to edit a trust relationship, you can click on edit, and if you want to define, let's say if you want to change it to RDS, you can change the service name to RDS, I mean the proper description of the service name, and you can update it here, and you can just update the trust policy. So after updating it, this trusted entity will be changed to RDS, so you will not be able to call this particular role from EC2 instance, right? So it will be only accessible from an RDS instances. So trust relationship is very much important. So make sure you define a proper trust relationship so that your roles can work in a proper and appropriate way, right? So here it is. We are done with the creating a role. Now we will see how we can attach a role, right? So for that, attaching a role, we will go to services, we will go to EC2 instance. So here we will launch one EC2 instance, click on launch, we will select one AMI, we will go with the free tier eligible, we will go to configure instance detail. So in the third step, you will find there is a IAM role, right? So here you can see there is a drop down menu. From that, right now it is none. We just need to click on drop down menu, and there you will find your role which you have created right now, the S3 full access. So if there are no roles defined, no roles found here, that means you have not properly defined your trusted entities, right? So if you want to create a role from here, you can create a role from here as well. When you click on this create new role, IAM role, you will be redirected to the IAM dashboard. From there you can create your IAM role, right? So we already have one IAM role here, so we will select that and we will launch our instance. So previously it was like you were only be able to attach a role when you create an EC2 instance, but now once you have an EC2 instance deployed, you can still define your roles and you can attach a role after creating an EC2 instance as well. So that is it, guys. We are done with this lecture. I hope you have learned the AWS IAM. If you want to go through this lecture once again, you can go through this lecture once again. And I am creating some other videos on other cloud platform as well, so you can go and learn that as well. I am creating videos on DigitalOcean, and I am creating videos on Docker. So you can visit my YouTube channel, that is youtube.com/UpBrightSkills, and you can start learning cloud platforms, the technology which we are booming right now, that is Docker, the cloud technologies. So keep learning and keep watching, and please do share your comments. If you like my videos, please do like, share and subscribe for more videos. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the next video.